We're back for the presidential Smackdown Part 2, and this time we're going to have Donald Trump and Barack Obama. And Hillary Clinton as well. So here we go. This time I'm going to do maybe a little bit more editing, because last time there was a lot of periods where I just don't talk. And that kind of gets annoying to watch, so we'll see. Alright. As a tribute stand on their podiums, the horn sounds. Donald Trump grabs a sword. Calvin Coolidge finds a bow, some arrows, and a quiver. Bill Clinton grabs a backpack, not realizing it is empty. Maybe he wanted it to be empty. You know? Harry S. Truman stays at the cornucopia for resources. Theodore Roosevelt runs away from the cornucopia. Okay. Grover Cleveland, Richard Nixon, Jimmy Carter, and Hillary Clinton share everything they gathered before running. That's the perfect alliance right there. Grover Cleveland, Hillary Clinton. Wait, are all of these Democrats? No. Are you? I forget. I don't remember. William Howard Taft finds a bag full of explosive. Herbert Hoover, Gerald Ford running away. Barack Obama and Lyndon B. Johnson fight for a bag. Barack Obama gives up and retreats and decides not to vote again, like he used to when he was in Senate. I'm pretty sure he was in the Senate. I love how if I say a single thing, it's going to be like, oh, you're wrong. That didn't happen. It's awesome. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Okay, you're staying. You're running. Smart, George W. Dwight D. Eisenhower and William McKinley fighting for a bag. William McKinley gives up and retreats. Benjamin Harrison runs away from the cornucopia. Y'all are just really not that confident for presidents. You are. Good job, Warren. Woodrow Wilson grabs a jar of fishing bait while Ronald Reagan gets fishing gear. And John freaking Kennedy runs away from the cornucopia. That's his nickname. It's not JFK, it's John freaking Kennedy. Jimmy Carter begs for George W. Bush to kill him. She refuses, keeping Jimmy Carter alive. Harry S. Truman defeats Barack Obama in a fight, but spares his life. You know what? Just send in the nukes, Harry S. Truman. You gotta send them in. Calvin Coolidge chases William Howard Taft. That's not gonna last that long. He's kind of a big guy, you know. He's pretty thick. John freaking Kennedy collects fruit from a tree. Dwight D. Eisenhower scares Hillary Clinton off. You just use the shine on your bald head to blind her. That's what I would do. Warren G. Harding picks flowers. I don't know why these people are picking flowers. That doesn't seem like a very smart thing to do when you're about to die. Herbert Hoover steals from Bill Clinton while he isn't looking. Okay. Gerald Ford receives a hatchet from an unknown sponsor. No one has died yet, and you're just all running away. Okay, Franklin Delano Roosevelt shoots an arrow into Benjamin Harrison's head. He's in a wheelchair, so I imagine this like, you just shoot it, you know? He ran past him and he was able to catch him while moving. Theodore Roosevelt sprains her ankle while running away from Donald Trump. Yeah, that's how he got a small loan of $1 million. He chased Theodore Roosevelt in the Hunger Games. Oh, Benjamin Harrison is dead. Gosh dang it. Benny H. We're pretty close. Gerald Ford thinks about home. He was born in Nebraska but grew up in Michigan. So, that's not relevant at all, is it? Lyndon B. Johnson, you're going to sleep. Hillary Clinton lets Dwight D. Eisenhower into her shelter. Uh-oh. Democrat and Republican. How will that end up? Who knows? The person who made this game. Harry S. Truman and Woodrow Wilson tell stories about themselves to each other. Wait, aren't they like right immediately after each other? Franklin D. Roosevelt is awoken by nightmares. John freaking Kennedy attempts to start a fire but is unsuccessful. Donald Trump and George W. Bush talk about the tribute still alive. That makes sense. They would totally do that. Warren G. Harding lets George H.W. Bush into his shelter. Republicans unite. William McKinley is awoken by nightmares. Jimmy Carter defeats Ronald Reagan in a fight but spares his life. I don't see him doing that. I feel like he would definitely throw a few peanuts at Ronald Reagan before he died. You know, Bill Clinton, Grover Cleveland, and Theodore Roosevelt sleep in shifts. Barack Obama begs for Richard Nixon to kill him. He refuses, keeping Barack Obama alive. You're gonna take the fall for Watergate. No, wait. Yes, you're the Watergate guy. Frickin' hell. Herbert Hoover shoots a poisonous blow dart into Calvin Coolidge's neck, slowly killing him. Alright. We're all friends here, except for the people who kill each other. George H.W. Bush and Richard Nixon hunt for other tributes. Hillary Clinton, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Barack Obama, and Ronald Reagan hunt for other tributes. Grover Cleveland diverts William Howard Taft's attention and runs away, and John freaking Kennedy receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. George W. Bush discovers a river. You're collecting fruit from a tree, and you're spraining your ankle while running away from Warren G. Harding. And Woodrow Wilson is going to tend to Lyndon B. Johnson's wounds. Okay. Donald Trump receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. Okay. Herbert, you're running. Gerald Ford kills William McKinley for his supplies. Look at his grin, dude. He would totally kill William McKinley for his supplies. I see that. Bill Clinton runs away from Jimmy Carter. Calvin Coolidge and William McKinley. Every early president is dying. This will make it more interesting because the more modernized the presidents are, the more fun it is for me. Because I'm like, oh, Barack Obama is sleeping with Hillary Clinton? Wow. That could happen. Dwight D. Eisenhower starts a fire. Lyndon B. Johnson and George W. Bush huddle for warmth. Yeah, you look like a great hugger, Lyndon. I can see it in your nose. Not in his eyes. Lyndon B. Johnson's eyes aren't very telling of his character. His nose is. Depending on how many, wrinkles there are in his nose, you can tell. If there's, 5, you know he's into you, dude. He might, I don't even know. Barack Obama is unable to start a fire and sleeps without warmth. Warren G. Harding tries to treat his infection. Richard Nixon convinces Ronald Reagan to snuggle with him. Franklin Delano Roosevelt loses sight of where he is. Open your eyes, idiot. Theodore Roosevelt sets up camp for the night. Herbert Hoover bleeds out due to untreated injuries. Aw, that's kind of sad. Donald Trump and George H.W. Bush sleep in shifts. John freaking Kennedy screams for help! Hillary Clinton questions her sanity. Okay. There's a lot of jokes I can make there, but all of them would either get me a lot of hate or, no, anything that I said would get me hate. Everything that you do can get you hate, actually. Anyways, Bill Clinton's tending to his wounds. That's great. Gerald Ford's thinking about winning. That has not worked out for a single person that I've run the simulation with. William Howard Taft tries to treat his infection. Woodrow Wilson tends to her wounds. Oh, so Woodrow Wilson is a girl. I didn't know that personally. We've already had a female president, and it's Woodrow Wilson, everybody. Harry S. Truman questions his sanity. Jimmy Carter quietly hums about peanuts. Grover Cleveland attempts to start a fire, but is unsuccessful. You're camouflaging yourself in the bushes? With that mustache, I guess that would be possible. Grover Cleveland receives a hatchet from an unknown sponsor. Ronald Reagan practicing archery. Why? I feel like there's guns in this, but maybe not. Bill Clinton runs away from Woodrow Wilson. Boring. Richard Nixon discovers a cave. Harry S. Truman receives medical supplies from an unknown sponsor. George W. Bush camouflages herself in the bushes. Warren G. Harding falls into a frozen lake and drowns. If it was frozen, how did you fall into it? You gotta have a big brain to understand that. Hillary Clinton cannot handle the circumstances and commits suicide. Okay. You're pricked by thorns while picking berries. Why don't you just, maneuver around them a little bit? Donald Trump spears Theodore Roosevelt in the abdomen. He wants to be on Mount Rushmore, dude. He is out for blood. Gerald Ford runs away from George H.W. Bush. Franklin Delano Roosevelt travels to higher ground. You know what else would help Franklin Delano Roosevelt travel to higher ground is standing up. Lyndon B. Johnson sees smoke rising in the distance but decides not to investigate. Barack Obama chases Jimmy Carter for some electoral votes, you know. John freaking Kennedy receives a hatchet from an unknown sponsor. I gave it to him. I wanted him to... Oh, I should have put Lee Harvey Oswald in this. That would have been funny. Hillary Clinton, Theodore Roosevelt, Warren G. Harding, and Herbert Hoover. Okay, everyone knows these two. I can almost guarantee that some people will think this is a Roomba. Your name could be for a Roomba, Herbert Hoover. Alright, this is pretty condensed version of this. So, we got all four of these people sleeping in shifts. If you don't know who they are, look it up. Jerk. Lyndon B. Johnson sees a fire but stays hidden. Bill Clinton and Donald Trump sleep in shifts. That can't happen. They're in two different political parties. How can they ever cooperate? That doesn't make sense. Ugh. Dwight D. Eisenhower fends Gerald Ford, William Howard Taft, and Woodrow Wilson away from his fire. Okay, I'm seeing a similarity between you two. The baldness is... That's it. George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, Harry S. Truman, and Grover Cleveland are sleeping in shift. Franklin Delano Roosevelt thinks about home and standing. Jimmy Carter looks at the night sky. Yes, cannot wait to win. Why is that a thing that they can do? You're not going to win by looking up. You're going to win by looking down and seeing, gosh dang, I'm a strong-ass man. Dwight D. Eisenhower, George H. Get into a fight. Dwight D. Eisenhower triumphantly kills them both. I knew it, dude. Ever since World War II, right? Donald Trump steals from George W. Bush while she isn't looking. Richard Nixon hunts for other tributes. William Howard Taft goes hunting. Bill Clinton receives clean water from an unknown sponsor. I don't know what else to say about that. It's like, okay, you got water. Awesome. I hope you drink it like a normal human being. Harry S. Truman receives a hatchet from an unknown sponsor. I gave him that. Of course. I give all the people hatchets. If you're my friend in real life and you come meet me, I'll give you a hatchet, man. You might not like where it's placed. It might be here, it might be here, it might be here. I don't know. It's up to me, really. And you probably aren't going to be my friend anymore after it happens. And if you are, the more power to you. Franklin Delano Roosevelt catches Ronald Reagan off guard and kills him. I feel like that would never happen. Barack Obama sprains his ankle while running away from Mustache Man, or Grover Cleveland. And you're receiving fresh food. George H.W. Bush, Lyndon B. Johnson, and Ronald Reagan. Dang it. Let's see everyone's status. Who has the most kills? Dwight D. Eisenhower, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. One kill was with the wheelchair. The other kill was with his mind powers that he gained while sitting in the wheelchair long enough. So Donald Trump has one kill. If he wins, that'd be hilarious. Okay. Literally the first thing I see is George W. Bush decapitates Donald Trump with a sword. Imagine that in the news. Harry S. Truman goes to sleep. Thanks for updating us on the sleep, by the way. Jimmy Carter and Gerald Ford tell stories about themselves to each other. So, like, this one time, I grew peanuts, and I was like, man, guys with bald heads are really cute. And then Gerald Ford's like, like this other time, I was like, I really love peanuts, and, I have 2 stars in the background, and that's all I know, because, that's the only thing you can see in my picture. That's what he sounded like. There's no audio recordings, because that's how old he is. Bill Clinton fends John freaking Kennedy, Grover Cleveland, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt away from his fire. Richard Nixon tends to his wounds. Dwight D. Eisenhower looks at the sky. I guess the baldness wouldn't reflect as much if you looked at the sky. William Howard Taft lets Woodrow Wilson into his shelter. All these people start fighting, but George W. Bush runs away as Franklin Delano Roosevelt kills John freaking Kennedy. Alright, Dwight D. Eisenhower overhears Jimmy Carter and Gerald Ford talking in the distance. I cannot believe you in a wheelchair are able to kill John freaking Kennedy. William Howard Taft and Woodrow Wilson split up to search for resources. Grover Cleveland, Harry S. Truman, Bill Clinton, Richard Nixon, and Barack Obama hunt for other tributes. That is a power squad if I've ever seen one. We got one black guy, and the rest are white. I just described all of presidents ever. We have one black guy and the rest are white. Okay, Woodrow Wilson cannot handle the circumstances and commit suicide. Sad to see him go, or her. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Woodrow Wilson was the first female president. I forgot about that. Bill Clinton is unable to start a fire and sleeps without warmth. William Howard Taft and George W. Bush tell stories about themselves to each other. How sweet. Grover Cleveland fends Gerald Ford, Dwight D. Eisenhower, and Harry S. Truman away from his fire. Franklin Delano Roosevelt convinces Jimmy Carter to snuggle with him. I don't know. He's killed a few people. Richard Nixon screams for help. Barack Obama stays awake all night. Harry S. Truman and Dwight D. Eisenhower track down and kill William Howard Taft. So who gets a kill there? Barack Obama attacks Gerald Ford, but she manages to escape. You're practicing archery, discovers a cave. You're splitting up to search for resources. Franklin Delano Roosevelt sees smoke rising in the distance, but decides not to wheel on over. Alright, let's see who has the most kills. Dwight D. Eisenhower, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. If Grover Cleveland wins, that'd be funny, because he sucks in this. Historically. That's historically accurate, because yesterday he lost, so that's history. Yesterday is history. Jimmy Carter throws a knife into Grover Cleveland's chest. See, when I say the word Grover Cleveland, I mean Mustache Man. Mustache Man dies. George W. Bush and Barack Obama run into each other and decide to truce for the night. Okay, here's the big. Bill Clinton, Harry S. Truman, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt unsuccessfully ambush Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, and Dwight D. Eisenhower, who kill them instead. Alright, the cornucopia. Okay, there's way less people than there was last time. Richard Nixon decides you're not going, and Gerald Ford is stealing Barack Obama's stuff. Cool, I guess. If Obama wins, that'd also be pretty funny. George W. Bush tries to sleep through the entire day. Why? You're running away. Barack Obama receives medical supplies from an unknown sponsor.
Thank you, my fellow Americans, for these medical supplies.
Jimmy Carter dies of dysentery. Alright, now who has the most kills? Holy crap, you have 6 kills, Dwight? Come on, man. You gotta... your KD is insane. Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Barack Obama, and George W. Bush. Wow. Gerald Ford has 4 kills. It's funny. Barack Obama has none. Barack Obama and Gerald Ford talk about the tributes still alive. George W. Bush tends to her wounds. Richard Nixon is unable to start a fire and sleeps without warmth. Barack Obama tries to spear fish with a trident. George W. Bush sprains her ankle while running away from Gerald Ford. Richard Nixon fishes. Nothing is really happening. Gerald Ford climbs a tree to rest. His baldness is going to give him away. George W. Bush receives fresh food from an unknown sponsor. Alright. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. Richard Nixon tries to sing himself to sleep. Alright, you guys gotta kill each other. George W. Bush thinks about home. Gerald Ford sprains her ankle while running away from Barack Obama. Ah, yes, the second female president. You're thinking about home? You should be thinking about winning. Oh my god. Barack Obama loses sight of where he is. Just open your eyes. Richard Nixon dies from thirst. Gerald Ford and George W. Bush huddle for warmth. This is heating up. Barack Obama steals from Gerald Ford while she isn't looking. George W. Bush hunts for other tributes. Richard Nixon is dead. George W. Bush destroys Gerald Ford's supplies while she is asleep. Barack Obama attempts to climb a tree but falls to his death. Alright. Oh my god, are you serious? Gerald Ford wins. He wins. Yay! All right. That's the video. It's over. Bye. Bye.